guys, Sam Rhino here with another video. About a month ago, I got my Sony A1 and I did my first impressions, and I said I would be back once I got a couple thousand shots under my belt and really got to know the camera and know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's a lot of money, people spending their hard-earned money on it. I want to know what I'm talking about. You know, unfortunately, there's a lot of YouTube reviewers out there that get the camera on loaner, and within a day or two, they're putting out a review. And, you know, it takes a long time to find out all the quirks about a camera and find out exactly how it performs and all that. So anyway, it's another topic for another day, but let's start with the negatives, get those out of the way. There's not a lot of them, and none of them are really deal breakers for me. The first one is there's an issue right now with the EVF where it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't switch when you put the camera up to your eye. It doesn't switch from the LCD. You know, it doesn't happen all the time. It happens usually on bright sunny days, and it still doesn't happen all the time. But when it does happen, it's really annoying because it's cost me a couple of shots. I know I'm not the only one experiencing this. A lot of people talking about it on the forums, and I did call Sony Pro Support. They said they are aware of the problems. That other people called about it. The thing that makes me nervous is it's taking them so long to fix it with firmware. So I really hope they do so, you know, soon. I hope it's not a hardware issue where you have to send in your camera, because that's going to annoy a lot of people. I really don't think that's what it is, but just be aware of it. My second issue is the battery life. I'm used to the Z battery in previous Sony cameras to be fantastic. I would put 2 batteries in my A9 or A7R4 and go out shooting all day and doing video, and I would have no issues. I would even have plenty of power to spare most of the time. But with this camera, it's a couple of days where I was out shooting all day, doing video and photos, and used up 3 batteries. You know, part of it is probably the EVF. The new EVF probably takes a lot of power, but just be aware of it. The battery life is still good, but it's not great like it is on previous Sony cameras that use the Z battery. The other thing is the 4K 120 files. They're a little difficult to work with. You know, I didn't think I would have an issue. I had a fairly new laptop that's pretty high end, and I still had trouble playing the video, the 4K 120 video back smoothly. You know, it would stutter a lot of times. I ended up getting the new Mac Mini, the M1, and it actually worked out really well. It handles the files really well. I can edit them, play them back with no issues. Not affiliated with Apple in any way. I'm just giving you, it was an inexpensive solution for me, and it works really well. It does live up to all the hype. The other thing is the files are a little noisy. If you're familiar with the A7R4 with high megapixel cameras, the files are going to be noisy when you push the ISO. So just be aware of that. You know, probably want to invest in something like Topaz denoise, you know, and to deal with the little extra noise. The files do clean up really well though, and the dynamic range is awesome for recovering shadows and all that stuff. So just be aware of that. Another big issue is, you know, I really wish that they made this camera feel like a flagship camera. The kind of money you spend it on this camera, you know, other manufacturers, they make their camera a little more substantial. The grip is built in. I really wish they did all that with this camera. At the minimum, at least have the grip built in. I mean, I know why they do it. It keeps the cost down using the same parts. But I mean, if I'm buying a flagship camera, I don't want it to feel just like every other Sony camera that's been released in the last, you know, a year or 2 years. I mean, it feels just like the A7R4, A9 II, A7S3, pretty much. Very little difference. So, you know, and the other thing is the LCD. They put the same old, outdated LCD in this. It is touchscreen, but, you know, the resolution is not that great. You know, I don't understand that, honestly, for a flagship camera. They're already using an updated screen in the new releases of the A7R4 and A7R3. They did it kind of quietly. But if they can put them in that camera, why didn't they put it in this one? You know, it's going to piss off a lot of people if 6 months from now they start putting in an updated LCD in this camera for all the people that already bought it. So anyway, so that's, you know, my issues with that. The other thing is the CF Express card Type A that they use in this camera. It's very expensive, and you can fill them up really quick. The biggest you can get right now is 160 gig. I remember the first day I went out, I was like a little kid with a new toy and shooting 30 frames per second, you know, shooting everything in sight. And I filled up both cards within like an hour and a half, and also doing 4K video. So you can fill up these cards really quickly. There's been a couple times even after that, not even shooting in 30 frames per second, that I filled up these cards and in a full day of shooting, and I have to walk back to my car to get some SD cards. Now I keep them on me just in case, because I only have 2 of those CF Express cards. I mean, they're $400 a pop. They're not cheap. So just be aware of that, because you do need those cards if you really want to take advantage of the buffer. The buffer is so much better with these cards than if you use the SD card. So if you're investing the money in this camera, you definitely got to invest in those cards. No doubt about that. So a couple issues that don't exist that a YouTuber mentioned, and I can assure you that they don't exist. One is, he said that Sony lied, that you can't get 30 frames per second with this camera. I can assure you that's not true. The problem is he didn't set the camera to release, and a lot of other YouTubers commented about it, including Mark Galler, the Sony ambassador, and that's why he wasn't getting the 30 frames per second. So it was user error. And the other one, I don't know what the hell he was doing. He kept saying that he was accidentally releasing the lens all the time. I have not been able to replicate that. I honestly don't know what the heck he's doing. Maybe he's got giant hands. I have no idea. I haven't been able to do it. I've never once came close to releasing this lens my lens by accident. So I don't know what he's talking about, honestly, with that. So anyway, enough about the negative stuff. Let's get to the good stuff. The good stuff about this camera, the autofocus is absolutely fantastic. It's super fast. You know, the A9 was one of my favorite all-time cameras. I never thought anything would top that as far as AF speed, and this does. It's super responsive. And the other thing is, a lot of people were worried that it might have some of the focus issues like the A7R4 with the 200 to 600, and I can assure you it does not. It focuses great with the 200 to 600. It works phenomenal. I've had no issues with this combo, so be assured that that works really well. The Bird Eye AF is a great tool. Just be aware that it's not 100% reliable. You know, it's a great tool, but you can't always depend on it. There's times where it finds a little bird's eye that's pretty far away, and then other times something as big as an osprey that's pretty close to me and it won't find the eye. So just be aware of that. You know, it's not you can't always rely on it, but it's a nice tool to have. And the other thing is how much you can crop with this camera and still keep a ton of detail. It's pretty unbelievable to get this kind of autofocus and being able to crop as much. And the 4K 120 and all the video files, they look amazing. I've been using the profile Cinetone, and I know it's supposed to be for skin tones, but it actually looks really good with wildlife. And you know, it eliminates a lot of you know, having to do any color correction or anything like that. It really does work well. So far I'm very pleased with the camera, and I'm going to show you a couple files in Lightroom just to show you what they look like and show you using Topaz how well they clean up and all that, and how much you can crop while keeping detail with this camera. So far I'm really happy, and I'm not going to keep rambling here and keep talking. You know, if you know any of my reviews, like my A7R4 review, I don't shoot walls, I don't pixel peep. You know, if that's what you're looking for, unfortunately that's not what I do. I just go out and shoot the camera, shooting wildlife the way you would use it, the way I use it. You know, that's what you want to see, and I give you my settings of what I'm using and how the camera performs. You know, I mean, that's honestly, to me, you know, you can shoot all the walls you want. That's not going to tell you the story about the camera. Going out and using it in real world, that's how you find out about a camera. So anyway, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me here on Instagram. And I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll be cutting in and out. And all right, guys, let's get going. Let's get this video going, and peace out. All right, guys, let's go. All right, so we're going to take a look at a couple pictures here in Lightroom. I picked 2 pictures that we're going to crop quite a bit. I want to show you how much you can crop while keeping a ton of detail, like you see there when I zoom in. This picture was a little noisy, as you can see there. There's a lot of grain. It was ISO 2500. So we're going to start by cropping the picture. Like I said, we're going to crop aggressively here. We're going to crop quite a bit. I think with a picture like this, when you crop this much, it makes it a little more impactful, makes it stand out. As you can see, even with cropping not much, how much detail is still left in the picture. It's super sharp. So now we're going to apply the lens correction, and we'll launch the plugin for Topaz Denoise. I just want to mention, make sure you're watching this video in 4K so you get the full res of all the pictures and video. So it's going to take a few seconds here for the plugin to launch. And obviously you can use it as a standalone, but it's just much easier to use it as a plugin. And guys, obviously you don't have to do this. I'm not affiliated with Topaz in any way. Just showing you what I do. I've been using Topaz for a long time. I think it does a really good job. So the settings I had in there is the ones that I put in. You can use their default settings if you want. I don't like them personally. I think they apply a little too much sharpening for my taste. So I use my own. But by all means, you can use the default settings. So we should be back in Lightroom. Here we go. You can see got rid of all the noise, cleaned up everything. Looks really good. Now we'll just do a couple of adjustments. Honestly, that's all I do with all my pictures. I put it through Topaz Denoise, and I do a few adjustments with the sliders on Lightroom, and that's it. That's all I do. So just the picture was a little overexposed, so I brought down the highlights a little bit of clarity, and I think it looks pretty good right there. All that cropping and applying denoise, and still plenty of detail. That's what I love about this camera. All right, so this next picture here, we've got a tricolor heron. This thing came out of nowhere. I was shooting ospreys in the opposite direction, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw something coming. So thanks to the A1, I was able to fire off a few shots and roll in focus. So again, we're cropping pretty heavy here, as you can see. Still plenty of detail. And this picture is not that noisy, but I'm still going to put it through Topaz just to clean it up a little bit. So doing the same thing we did last time, applying the lens correction, and then launching the plugin to get the Topaz. Just take a few seconds here. And again, this is obviously up to you if you want to do this or not. So again, my settings are already in there. So we're just going to hit apply. And a few seconds here, we'll be back in Lightroom. Here we are. I think it looks pretty good. This might be slightly underexposed, so we're going to lift the shadows a little bit. That's what I love about this camera. When you shoot in RAW, dynamic range is awesome. So you can recover the shadows and detail really well with this camera. The files look amazing, as you can see there. All that cropping, all that denoise we applied, and it was still looking good and plenty of detail. It's a fantastic camera, guys. All right. So let's get back to the video, and I hope you enjoyed this segment. It's the first time I've done this, so I hope you enjoyed it. All right, guys. Hey guys, I'm out here in a really remote area. I love finding places like this. I mean, I haven't seen a soul in 3 hours, maybe longer. I put 80,000 miles on my car in 3 years that I just traded in, looking for places just like this. You know, the reason I love shooting in places like this is, you know, I got the whole place to myself. I'm not squeezed in with 50 other photographers trying to get the same shot. So anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about the A1. So I've never seen a camera that's such a lightning rod like this camera. It's such an electrifying subject. You know, you post anything about the A1 in any forum, you get 100 comments. Anytime somebody posts something about the A1, you get 100 questions. Everybody's watching. It's pretty incredible, and it does live up to all the hype. It's an incredible camera. I mean, for me, the reason I bought this camera is I wanted something that can do everything that I need all in one camera, and it lives up to that. It does everything extremely well. It's got better autofocus than the A9. You can crop just like the A7R4. It does all the video modes of the A7S III that I was about to buy before they announced this camera. I don't need to buy that camera anymore. So, you know, it does everything really well, and you know, it surpassed my expectations, to be honest with you. So if you're asking me, should you buy this camera? If you're a wildlife shooter, if you're a pro sports shooter, action shooter, anything like that, by all means, get this camera. It's incredible. You know, there's no doubt about it. Now, if it's in your budget, absolutely. But now, if you gotta sell one of your kidneys, you gotta hock your wife's jewelry, you gotta cut off your kid's tuition, or sell your Batman action figure that you've been saving since you were 11 years old, then no, you shouldn't be buying this camera. There's a lot of great cameras out there that are, you know, that are a lot less expensive, that do a fantastic job. I mean, the A9, the original one right now, is an incredible bargain for all what it does. An incredible camera, one of my all-time favorite cameras. So, you know, and also, even if you have the money, if you do portraits and landscape, I mean, there's no reason to get this camera. Get the A7R4 and call it a day for less than half the price. You know, so, you know, it is a fantastic camera. It fits the bill for me, for all the reasons why I bought it. It does everything really well. You know, it's not just a jack of all trades and master of none. It really does do everything really well, better than any camera out there. You know, and Sony's not paying me to say this. I'm not sponsored by Sony, obviously. I'm just really excited about this camera. It's been a long time since I got this excited about a camera. And like I said, it lives up to all the hype. So I definitely highly recommend it. If it fits what you do and it's in your budget, absolutely get it. No doubt about it. So anyway, I'm hearing a lot of weird noises behind me, so I think it's time to get out of here. I'm starting to get the twitch like Rodney Dangerfield. Hey, I tell you. So anyway, so let's get out of here. Let's get out of here alive. And please subscribe, guys. It really helps me out. I really appreciate all the support. And until next time, all right, peace out.